a nurse told me, she's like, are you better? And I said, what do you mean? And she said, you weren't this like, and they couldn't even, she was like, you weren't this happy. And I said, yeah, I'm taking a leadership course and things are like changing for me. And I'm not as like judgmental of myself or others. And a staff member said, I can tell like something's different about you. And I was like, yes, I'm actually like taking this seriously because I want to change my thinking and I want it to be more positive and I don't want to be stuck in the pits of despair all the time. Uh, and I have been talking about the class like a lot because it really has changed things.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Very cool. So that's great. I am so glad.
I used to wake up and go, "Oh, no, I have to go to work." And now I've been waking up like, if you look at my time card and we do clock in, my times, I'm back to my old self, like, coming in on time and meeting with people in the morning because, we're a 24-hour business, so I talk to those employees at night, and they had really felt neglected for a few months because I wasn't coming in super early. It was, like, really a struggle to, like, get into work, and that has changed.
That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Is it okay that I
So
share that clip with Mark?
yes, absolutely.
Awesome.
Thing
Okay.
yes. Employees noticed that, like, I wasn't like, I didn't come in, like, joyful, and was like, "Oh gosh, another day." And now things have really changed and the staff are noticing like, "Oh, you're happier." I'm like, "It's not exactly like being happier. It's just not being so hard on myself, sitting in your misery of all the stuff you didn't get done."
So, what is the most valuable part of the program that you experienced?
The most for me was I didn't even know that my judge was controlling my brain. I did not know how much I let my like fear just, like, ran my mind. Honestly, like, fear and worry, and now I'm not, and I will tell it's, like, something interesting because I will tell you, I was a Charlie Kirk fan, I followed him, I thought he was great, and something Shirzad said, though, that was like, "Well, so you're gonna go around, like, being angry, or are you actually gonna, like, do something? Like, are you gonna take action?" And he said something interesting that sat with me, is like, "So if I'm, like if I wanna promote, like, immigration and their businesses, like, then I have to frequent those businesses." So, to me, then I was like, "Well, then if I'm, like, really upset by, like, Charlie Kirk, then maybe I should get involved and do something instead of, like, being upset about it." So, that really was, like, really, and it was so, like, small, the thing he said, but so powerful, is, like, you can sit in your misery and, like, "Oh, the woe is me and the world is horrible," or you can take small steps to change it. And it doesn't have to be like these grand, glorious things, but it could be like a small step. And that
Uh,
like really was really powerful to me. I always want to like do these grand things and then you feel like a failure when you don't meet them. So the small little changes and really thinking about how you could act instead of living in the judgment or the fear or worry.
so, do you remember? So you're taking some small steps, but are you remembering to celebrate when you accomplish a small step?
Yeah, so, the other day, my husband and I were having an argument, and I said, "I need 5 minutes. Like, I just need 5 minutes to let my anger, like, decrease my anger." And I'll just tell you, my husband actually celebrated me coming back and being a rational person. So that was
Yeah.
like I was like, "Good, you're celebrating me too," because I was really proud of myself because I'll just tell you, before, if I would never walk away. Like, "No, we have to solve this now." And, like, the other day, I was like, "No, no, take 5 minutes and figure out why you're really upset." Like, you're not gonna solve anything by continuing to argue. Like, you actually really have to think about, like, "Why am I so upset right now?" So that yeah, so celebrate like, I was actually really, really proud of myself that day, and then my husband said, "Wow, you came back like a different person ready to talk."
In what ways did the program help you overcome imposter syndrome and or build emotional intelligence?
So, I don't wanna steal anybody's answers, but I had never really stopped to recognize what the emotion was that was driving me, and when I started doing that, do you know my judge comes out from fear? Like, that is literally, like, fear that drives me, and then that almost made me laugh. upset because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what God talks about all the time. I mean, the Bible is like you can't let, like there is nothing to fear because like he's in control. And I didn't even recognize that that was my driving emotion. And what am I so afraid of? And it's really irrational. My
Yeah.
fears are completely irrational and things don't even come true. This my mom always has this like saying, she's like, because my stepdad was like a worrier too. And she's like, half of the stuff that you worry about has never even come to fruition. And you waste so much time worrying about what's going to happen when nothing has even happened. When that first week was like really powerful to me when he talked about like the judge, I never like really knew that voice existed. And like in that way. Like, it had
Yeah.
never been explained to me like that. Like, I always thought of it like your conscience or something like that, but I had never tried to quiet it, and it's not your conscience, but, like, I had never tried to, like, quiet that negative voice in my head. I was letting it, like, run me. That
You were letting fight or flight run you.
Yes, and
And
that was really powerful to know that I didn't have to. Yeah, I
so
don't have to.
I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but to going back to the question, you've really already answered it. Because when you originally had this questionnaire, you scored pretty high on emotional intelligence. But where you have improved, you may not so much judge others, and I don't know that you said you judge people less, but you were still pretty good about that, if, what I
Yeah.
remember. But you are certainly judging yourself less, and that is a
Yes.
component of emotional.
And I didn't realize how loud my judge was until I literally started, like, saying, like, "Shut up.
Yeah.
Stop talking. You're not in control of this. Stop talking." And
And see, you're starting to do natural things that quiet the judge. I know that I have listened and read books that talks about you bring making it a third party. Making,
yes.
you start
Mhm.
talking to it in a third party. That is a natural way to bring it down.
Yeah, and I didn't realize, but I did. I'm like, "That's like somebody who doesn't belong there."
Was there a particular moment or lesson that really stood out to you?
Reframing those past negative experiences and seeing the good in them.
The sage perspective.
Mhm.
Anything can be turned into a gift or an opportunity.
Yes, and I've been literally I told my mother-in-law, who is very much a huge, like, Christian believer as well, but I told her, like, the story of the stallion, and she's like, "Oh, I think I've heard that, before." And that has, like, really I that story, like, sticks with me. That fable or, that it really sticks with me that whatever like, we're just so concerned about being happy, but we don't even see the gift in sorrow or, the pains of growing, and we don't see them as a gift, and so that has changed for me.
As my coaching business evolves, I'm going to really try to help people redefine success and redefine failure. And we make failure look so bad, but it's only a stepping stone.
Mhm,
Billionaires and the influencers out there that have learned to really define failure feel differently about failure than most other people do because they just look at it as a course correction. I've learned, we're going to course
mhm,
correct. And then success,
mhm,
people need to redefine success. I believe success is very synonymous with happiness. And people think they're going to be happy when they get the promotion or the big house or the fast car or whatever. And you know what? There's a temporary component of happiness, but it's not lasting. And look at Gandhi, Mother Teresa. I think that they were pretty happy. There's a lot of really successful people on earth or have lived on earth that were great influencers, and they didn't tie their success to money. And so we've
mhm.
got to divorce ourselves from that component. Now, that said, I believe good people need to be rich because good people tend to be more giving and more people benefit when good people are rich. How do you plan to apply what you've learned in your personal and professional life?
So, it is a continuation of really the program, and, like, the other day, I was like, "Oh, I have to get back in."
Did you feel supported throughout the program, and were there any resources that you felt were missing?
No, honestly, I mean, you probably could have, like, done like, rode me harder. No, because at some points I was like I had gotten, like, out of the groove, and I realized, like, I was like, "Oh, this is like that 6-week thing," where I'm like, "Oh, I've done this for 6 weeks, like, I have to." I have to get over that hump. And that was difficult for me. But then I wasn't beating myself up because I was like, I'm still doing my PQ reps. I'm actually seeing change in life. So I need to like celebrate those things and not kill myself for, not being like this perfect person or checking off boxes to make it seem like I'm a perfect person. So I wanted to be like really honest with the program and no, it's like you said at the beginning and I kept thinking this only works if you want it to work. And I just kept like thinking that throughout the course like no, this is like something you want to do or you get to do, not that you have to do. So I have changed my mindset as well and I was just sharing this with somebody this morning. I said I get to do this leadership class. I get to do PQ reps and I get to be a stronger, more resilient person. So changing a lot of just those like pathways of destruction, those are really quieted right now. And that feels really good.
That's great. So would you recommend this program to others?
Yes, I have been actively telling people what I'm doing Uh, because honestly, I just think it's like great, like all the advice that they give us, all the things I was doing, like evaluations with people, it made me write better evaluations and be more transparent with people without feeling anxiety about it. That is actually, I told my husband the other day, I said, the last 2 weeks, I said, evaluations are always very stressful for me. I said, but it's actually gone very well because I was very transparent with people and I didn't get anxious about it. So when we were having our meetings, it was more like I came to them like, I want you to improve for yourself, not just for the hospital, for yourself. And that really became apparent when I was doing the evaluations that I wasn't like nervous anymore. And like honestly, before I was, and then you were like, do PQ reps. And I really had to think, why am I nervous? And you know why I was nervous? Because I was scared that they would be mad at me. I had to like really, like, what am I so scared of? And like, I was scared that they, wouldn't like what I had to say, even though it's the truth. And I said it in a very nice, positive way. And I really challenged myself to come up with goals for them that make them better as people. Honestly, a lot more focus on self rather than what you can do for the hospital. Because when people work on self, then they are more loyal.
A hospital in Washington has hired me to speak to them, and the topic that they want me to address is psychological safety. They're doing a lot of changes, and they want an increase in psychological safety. Um, Team communication. Everybody's goal is to be happy, and you should be happy when you go to work. So if you can create a culture and an environment that facilitates people, you being transparent, being honest, being psychologically safe, then they can be more happy at work. And they have a
Yeah.
self-actualization experience. They don't dread coming to work. What is the best thing that you believe that I could do as a coach to help you continue to progress?
I think like holding me accountable. That's a horrible thing to say because I should be able to hold myself accountable. But sometimes I need that like slight little nudge, like, hey, what's up?
No, there is a book that I just read, The Oz Principle. The theme of that entire book was accountability. Accountability is huge, and accountability sometimes comes with the negative connotations, and it doesn't have to. That's again, just like how we define failure, how we define success, how we define accountability. It doesn't have to have a negative connotation. You just made my day, Julie. Thank you. I'm so
Oh,
glad that's it. You're very expressive and articulate, and everybody that goes through the program has a positive experience, but you just express it so well and so enthusiastically. It just made my day.